Welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute, your source of internet marketing inspiration.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute. I'm your host, John Henson, and God, by the time this episode comes out, I hope we will have seen the sun. We're here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I think it's been it feels like it's been since Thanksgiving since we've seen the sun. It has been at least a solid week of clouds and fog and just drizzly, misty rain. It's just really gloomy, which is just it's tough because we're all trying to get into the holiday spirit here. I know we put up our tree, we wrapped presents, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure I'm probably way ahead of most people. It was early December. We were trying to get into it. It's tough when it's gloomy and also warm. And I don't know how people in like Florida and the desert states do it, but we're wrapping up the end of 2022 here. Going to just have, I think, one more episode for this year to come out next week, and then we're going to take a couple of weeks off. And, if you're doing a lot of traveling, absolutely go back and listen to some of the back catalog. Check out Center Stage as well. If you haven't done that, great way to spend some time on the plane, listening to just some industry experts, other business owners talk about the things that they're going through with their business and how to overcome that. But what I want to talk about this week, I was speaking at the Law Firm Growth Summit last week, and I was on a panel, and one of the things that we kind of touched on was just, if you could go back, or, if there was something that you could tell a firm owner, what you've learned along the way, what would you tell them that would help them expedite their growth based on, what you'd learned in the past? And the thing that I went back to, and it was similarly echoed in a couple of different ways by some other panelists, it's all about understanding who you are as a person. And what I mean by that is, understand your strengths and your weaknesses. And you've got to go beyond kind of the surface level. Don't just say, well, my strength is that I work too hard. Like, every business owner is going to say that they work hard. You can't say that, you're highly organized. You can't say that you're a perfectionist and all that kind of stuff. Like, you got to dig a little bit deeper into it, and really understand, are you an achiever in the sense that you absolutely have to see things through to completion, or do you get to a certain point and then you can move on to something else? Are you more of a strategic thinker? Do you take past patterns and past performance into consideration all of the time to understand current problems, whatever the case is? Or do you just dive right in and hit the ground running when a problem comes up, and you just, run through the first open door that you can? There are a bunch of different things to do that. One of the things that we've done here internally is that we have all taken the Strength Finders test. I think it's called Gallup Strengths now. We actually had a Center Stage episode a while back with a guy named Golden Madume. He's a Clifton Strengths coach, and we talked about this assessment. And it's relative. It's not like a free personality test, but it's about $50, maybe 60. And it asks you a bunch of questions, and then it assesses you based on, I think, 34 different strengths, and it ranks them in order. And then it goes into different themes. There's 4 different themes. There's executing, strategic thinking, relationship building, and influencing. And a lot of business owners, especially law firm business owners, they're probably going to fall into that strategic thinking or that executing domain or theme. And then that leaves a lot of, other strengths less refined. For example, if you're an executing theme, I think a lot of lawyers are in that executing theme. You're head down, you're in the weeds, you're just focused on getting things done. But being a business owner requires you to be able to think strategically. Being good at generating referrals requires you to have some influencing and relationship building skills. And a lot of times, and actually it's really impossible to be good at everything, right? You're going to lean more into one theme or another. And I mean, let me grab this thing. If you're watching the video edition of this podcast, we gave one of these out to everyone in our office, and it's just a kind of a recap of their Clifton strength, their top 10, where they're at, where their themes are. I am heavily in the executing theme, which means I'm one of those people who just focuses on getting things done. I'm very quickly going on to the next thing, whatever it is. But my top strength overall is in that strategic thinking domain. It's called context. I enjoy thinking about the past. I understand the present by researching the history, which spot on. But we also have like our bottom three. My bottom three are in the relationship building and the influencing theme. I'm not a very relational person. I'm very matter of fact. I don't necessarily seek out those kinds of relationships. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means that my strengths lie somewhere else. And so that, out of all of the personality tests, even like Myers-Briggs, stuff like that, like the Clifton strengths really does a good job at highlighting the things that you do well. Now, what is that? Why am I talking about that? Well, the thing is that I think for a lot of us, we were raised with this sort of idea that you should understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses, but then spend your time refining your weaknesses and bring them up to the same level as your strength. So let's say that you are at an 8 or a 9 in one area, and then a 2 or a 3 in another. The way that we were raised would have said, take that 2 or 3 and build it up to a 7 or an 8. And, just kind of leave what was already at an 8 or a 9 alone. But what we're starting to see is more of a shift. And, I make this joke that like my generation, millennials have kind of made this thing where like, if you know just fractionally more than another person about a thing, you are immediately the expert, right? So like, if we're talking about this, like just if you as a law firm owner or just a lawyer are having a conversation, I would immediately default to you as a legal expert. And then I would expect you to default to me as a marketing expert, because that's just how we've kind of built this framework. And, there are more people out there who are more knowledgeable about marketing than me, but like in our, one-on-one conversation, you're the legal expert, I'm the marketing expert, and expert almost kind of in that sense loses some of its value, but not really, because it's all just about who you're interacting with, and people will still see you up at the top as the legal expert, compared to them and their needs and then their friends and stuff like that. And so, but what I'm saying is we're seeing this shift where instead of focusing on your weaknesses, it's now about lean into your strengths. All right. Take your strengths that are at an 8 or a 9 and make them a 9 or a 10. And then take your weaknesses and surround yourself with people where that is their top strength. And then together you are making this entity that is at a 9 or a 10 in almost all areas. And it's that concept of working with an expert. And so like, if you're not the marketing expert, work with a marketing vendor or hire a marketing person who is. If you're not good at bookkeeping or HR or any kind of admin, or if you're not necessarily the nicest sounding person on the phone, surround yourself with people who that is their life. And then all of a sudden now you have built this entity that is operating at a 9 or a 10, rather than you trying to do everything yourself, but also trying to refine skills on the fly, and look, there's always value in learning new skills. I'm not saying don't do that, but learn new skills in areas that you're already at a strength, that's already in a strength, figure out, uh, new debate skills, if you're doing litigation or, arguing skills or whatever, ways to persuade people, ways to, approach any kind of legal work or whatever it is that you're doing, rather than spending more time away from where your strengths are and trying to refine skills that otherwise will take a lot longer to benefit you, if that makes sense. So just a little bit of food for thought there. Highly recommend taking the Gallup strengths test. Like I said, it's only like 50 or $60, but a really good investment that will give you a lot of really good insight into how you see the world, how you process things, where your actual strengths lie. Like, I don't know that you're going to learn anything new, but you're going to be validated and you're going to be able to conceptualize kind of what you already knew about yourself, if that makes sense. So I hope it was helpful. Another, kind of little deviation from the marketing stuff this week, but yeah, we will come back next week, kind of wrap everything up, and then we will head into 2023. The last thing before we go, the Legal Marketing Trends Report survey is still live. Would still love to get your submission and your participation in that. Just go to spotlightbranding.com/survey to take that. Should only take you about 10 to 15 minutes at most. And the data will be really, really valuable once we release the 2023 trends report. And so I really look forward to getting that going and getting that out in January, maybe early February. So that's going to do it. Thank you so much. We will see you next week.
Thanks for joining us. Please visit lawfirmmarketingminute.com for more information. We'll see you next time.